Welcome to One Chapter, One Thought. I'm Pastor Chris from Lincroft Bible Church in New Jersey, and every weekday I read one chapter of the New Testament and offer one brief devotional thought. Today's reading is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on the mountain, and after he sat down, the disciples came to him. He opened his mouth and began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the gentle, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who have been persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult and persecute you and falsely say all kinds of things about you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward in heaven is great. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has become tasteless, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law of the prophets. I did not come to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or stroke shall pass from the law until all is accomplished. Whoever then annuls one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever keeps them and teaches them shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that the ancients were told, 'You shall not commit murder,' and whoever commits murder shall be liable to the court. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brothers shall be guilty before the court. And whoever says to his brother, 'You good for nothing,' shall be guilty before the Supreme Court. And whoever says, 'You fool,' shall be guilty enough to go into the fiery hell. Therefore, if you are presenting your offering at the altar, and remember that your brother has something against you, leave your offering there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and present your offering. Make friends quickly with your opponent at law while you are with him on the way, so that your opponent may not hand you over to the judge to the officer, and you be thrown into prison. Truly I say to you that you will not come out of there until you have paid the last cent. You have heard it said, 'You shall not commit adultery,' but I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust for her has already committed adultery with her in her heart. If your right hand makes you stumble, tear it out, throw it far from you, for it is better that you lose one part of your body than the whole body be thrown into hell. If your right hand makes you stumble, cut it off and throw it from you. For it is better for you to lose one of the parts of your body than your whole body to go into hell. It was said, 'Whoever sends his wife away, let him give her a certificate of divorce.' But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife except for the reason of unchastity makes her commit adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you have heard the ancients were told, 'You shall not make false vows, but fulfill your vows to the Lord.' I say to you, make no oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by earth, for it is the footstool of his feet, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Nor shall you make an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. But let your statement be yes, yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond these is evil. You have heard that it was said, 'An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.' But I say to you, do not resist an evil person, but whoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn to the other to him also. If anyone wants to sue you and take your coat, let him have your coat also. Whoever forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him who asks of you, and do not turn away from him who wants to borrow from you. You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I say to you, love your enemies, and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even tax collectors do the same? If you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Therefore, you are to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. One thought. Matthew arranges his gospel around 5 teachings, followed by 5 episodes of Jesus going out and doing healings and ministry. And these 5 teachings that frame this book mimic the 5 books of the Torah, the law, the first 5 books of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. In other words, what Matthew is trying to do here again is show that Jesus is like a new Moses. He is the leader of God's people, and he's reformulating a people around himself. And so, just like Israel was given the law to guide their life, it was never supposed to be a way of salvation. So Jesus is giving teaching to his disciples, not as a way of salvation. That would be superfluous. Why would Jesus even come to die for his disciples if all they needed to do was follow the Sermon on the Mount? So the Sermon on the Mount is not a way of entering the kingdom of heaven, but it's a way of living as kingdom citizens. In other words, Jesus is tackling the question, what does it look like to have a quote-unquote good life? What does it look like to flourish in God's kingdom? And that's what he sets out to detail here in the Sermon on the Mount. And so, really, I think the clearest expression of what Jesus is trying to do in this sermon is found in what's historically been known as the Beatitudes, verses 3 through 12. These statements of blessed are, blessed are, blessed are. Jesus is showing who is really blessed, who really has God's favor, who really has the good life, who really will flourish before God. And it's surprising to us because it's almost the complete opposite of what the world would say. It's not those that are wealthy. It's not those that are powerful. Those who are blessed are the ones who thirst for righteousness, who are the meek, who are even those that are suffering, that are slandered. In all things, those who are blessed are those who love God and they love others. And so this is a challenge to our current perspective. How do you conceive of the good life? Is it in line with what Jesus says, or is it shaped by the world? The Beatitudes challenge us to redefine what the good life, I think, truly means, and we got to align our values with the teaching of Jesus rather than the fleeting standards of the world. And as we embrace this countercultural perspective that Jesus lays out here, we can discover a life, a true life that is marked by true blessings, rooted in hope and the promises of God.